This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who care. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time to stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles show. This is episode 478. My name is Daniel. I'm the founder of Special Chronicles, a Southern Tribal International Global Messenger with Special Olympics, and a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. SpecialChronicles.com is where you can go for links to follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And be sure to also subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, Special Chronicles, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to also subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch the live stream video episode if you want to see us side by side. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content. Again, SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. This week on the Special Chronicles show, we're switching things up a little bit. Just a little bit. We're switching things up. Our Special Chronicles Business Manager and my dad, Adam, is taking over to host our Energy Force conversation on this week's episode. So right now, we're going to go ahead and tone things over to him. So please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Adam as to take over as host on this week's episode of the Special Chronicles show and our Energy Force series on SpecialChronicles.com. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, go ahead. We're live.
Thank you, Daniel. It's really an honor to be a host on the Special Chronicles show. We do so many of them. Daniel does such a great job throughout the years. But today's kind of we want to, as Daniel said, move things around a little bit. This is part of our Special Chronicles show and ComEd EnergyForce series. So we're hearing from the various ambassadors and people at ComEd. So we decided we also want to hear from Daniel because he is one of the ComEd EnergyForce ambassadors. So
and it would be a little bit weird for me to have a conversation with myself. So that's why it's better to have.
Well, that could be an introspective, but we decided to take more the traditional route, and I will host the show and let Daniel talk.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's start off with, we have this broken down into various segments on the different topics that are affecting all of our lives this last year and into this year. So we want to hear the ambassadors' perspectives or thoughts and how life is affecting them. So let's start off with the first segment, and which is kind of a general introduction. I know everybody knows Daniel, but that's right. We'll still do the general introduction. So let's start off with that, Daniel. Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners, which hopefully all of them know you.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about you know with and your connection of the disability. Of course, you need to mention, how you're a little bit about Special Chronicles in that and your role. ComEd EnergyForce ambassador in the program. So why don't you do that introduction first now, Daniel.
So I'm sure, as you said, a lot of you listeners probably already know me, over 400 episodes, 14 years. But I'm sure we might have some new listeners that might just be tuning in right now.
Absolutely. And actually, our listeners are continually we're attracting new listeners every month and growing every month towards the overall listeners, which is really awesome. We thank everybody for that. So there are probably a few people that haven't met Daniel yet. So go ahead.
So for those of you who might not know me, I'm diagnosed with learning disabilities, severe language disorder, since I was born, 3 1/3 months premature, as you know, you were there. And been in special ed all my life, been involved in Special Olympics for quite a number of years, 17, 18 years or so. Founded Special Chronicles 14 years ago, and really have been at the forefront of using podcasting to share our special needs, to share our disability stories in this audio format. So I founded Special Chronicles 14 years ago. And
how does that role play in your role with ComEd as an ambassador?
So 5 years ago, Special Chronicles, we partnered with the ComEd EnergyForce Program, and as in that partnership, we needed an ambassador to kind of serve in that role and to really partner with us. And so, as you know, we have a small team, Special Chronicles. So we decided that, well, since I'm the founder of Special Chronicles, we would just have myself be the ambassador.
Yeah, I think that, that was part of the decision. I think that we felt that we can contribute, Special Chronicles can contribute a lot to the ComEd EnergyForce program, which does focus on, the disability community and trying to make a difference within their EnergyForce program. And since, of course, Daniel's was born with some disabilities, that felt it was a perfect match. So when talking to ComEd, they agreed, and it's really been a wonderful partnership, and we thank ComEd for that. But Daniel, why don't you elaborate a little more about the disability community? How does ComEd and you fit into the disability community?
And the mission of Special Chronicles?
We'll get to the mission later. Let's do how do you fit into the community first?
In our disability community?
Yeah, the disability community is ComEd plays a big role in that, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how that, and then how does Special Chronicles role play into the disability community? We know a little bit about ComEd and you and Special Chronicles, but how does all that fit into disability community? How do we make a difference?
So, the ComEd EnergyForce program, they get those of us with disabilities to serve as ambassadors, and we really help to educate the community about energy efficiency and hopefully I don't know if I make it.
Yeah, I think it's you bring up a good point. I think part of the role of the EnergyForce program for ComEd was to help educate the community on energy, how to save energy, how to use it better, how does it affect you and your businesses. And ComEd for years has done a wonderful job of that through the corporation. They got a lot of good ways that they reach out in the community. But this is a little different because what they're saying is not only a corporate person from ComEd stating the message, which they continually do in a wonderful way, But it's somebody in the community, in the disability community, like yourself, Daniel, where you've had some disabilities, same like every other ComEd ambassador, but you're the ones that going out and stating the message. And I know that on a lot of the events that we've been, I'm always amazed at how positive of feedback we get from neighbors, people in the community at the various shows we do, how, somebody with disabilities has a huge value. And ComEd is, is very much aware of that and want to participate in making that even better. And the message sent to the community, I think, is just remarkable. It's not only what ComEd does and the efficiency that they can provide for your home, but it's also the efficiency of working with somebody with special needs and making their lives a little better too. Mm-hmm. You want to elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's really powerful for the community to see us out, because I think a lot of times people might think that those of us with special needs, those of us with disabilities might not be able to educate the community on different topics, and energy efficiency is one of those. But by us being out in the community, whether it's in posting events, whether it's on a podcast like we're doing now, the mainstream community is able to see that there's a lot that we have to offer.
Well, that's very well put, Daniel. I also noticed that the population, the people in the neighborhoods can really relate to somebody with disabilities talking about energy or anything, because the reality is that all of us have some disabilities, some challenges in life. So the average person, may struggle with whatever they have in life, or they're dealing with the higher cost of energy or the higher cost of everything. And so when they have somebody else that they're listening to that also is dealing with whatever in life, I think it catches their attention much better. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the beautiful, I believe, benefits of ComEd and the EnergyForce program, using people with disabilities to share that story together with ComEd. And I think it's making a difference. But what have you seen, Daniel, when we're at the various events? And a lot of times I go along as a chaperone to your event to assist. But Daniel is the one that's actually the main front with the community. You're the one talking to the neighbors and all of that. I just make sure you have enough supplies to pass out giveaways. We always like giving giveaways to the neighbors and to the community. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have enough for you, which is really great. I think that partnership is really powerful. What are your thoughts when you talk to somebody in the let's say at a show we're doing, and somebody approaches you, a mom with several kids and her husband, or sometimes a retired a lady or a man or a couple, come and and they start talking to you about what's your message? How's that going, Daniel? Do you find that the conversation is easy? People are listening to you, or do they not care, or what? I see it that they seem to be pretty intense of what you're saying. What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of times people do listen to me and the other ambassadors. A lot of times, because there's usually a lot of people that come up to the table, so you usually don't have a lot of time to talk with each person that comes up. But I think what I've found is by sharing either 102 energy efficiency tips. So even that energy efficiency quiz that we have, like sharing, like maybe even what I found most people have responded pretty well with is by asking 102 energy efficiency questions on that quiz that we have. They're really welcome to that, and really find there's usually a few people that have loaned something that they might not have known, especially with the energy efficiency quiz that we don't usually have time to go through all the questions or all the tips, but really what I found is by picking out 102, we'll at least able to share a little bit, and most people have, I have found most people that have come up to our tables have really learned something new that they might not have learned.
Yeah, that's very well put, Daniel. And you're right. We can't, there's so much that ComEd has to offer as far as we can help educate the community. But at a show like, I know one of the ones we did was the holiday lights at Brookfield Zoo. And you don't have much time because, first of all, they're busy enjoying the zoo and the holiday lights. Plus, they happened to be over Christmas, and it was like super cold, so people didn't really want to stand around outside for too long of a time. But it was quite obvious that it seemed like everybody got at least one message, sometimes two messages that you were able to share, you and the other ambassadors. Plus, I think at the end, and you could help elaborate on it, it's always nice to give them a little gift.
Yeah.
People like receiving a little gift, and ComEd has done some creative little giveaways.
Yeah. Like some of the lights.
The lights are, what they have a whole variety and constantly come up with new ones. I think the adults love it and appreciate it. The kids absolutely love it. The mom is standing there holding her two kids, and the mom's listening to the energy tips. She's trying to figure out how to, maybe spend less money heating the home so the kids are nice and warm. The kids are listening to, hey, I like that toy. So when we give that to them, I think that's really been a positive effect. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's definitely been positive, and all the kids definitely enjoy the free giveaways, and I mean, even the parents and the adults do as well. So, like, especially when the holidays time, a lot is just like some of those holiday lights. But even during the other times of the year, a lot of times the giveaways is stuff that you could actually use, whether it's those little things of hand sanitizer or a flashlight or I don't know what's I think
the computer pens, the cleaning
the clean the
spray and the towel that one actually I've seen just about all the adults are saying, well, you have one of those, especially if they've been by the booth more than once or throughout. We've been doing this for several years. So.
And sometimes some of those giveaways that people can really find useful go by, like, we usually went out because we don't take all the giveaways at one event, but like of the little bit that we do take, they usually kind of we go through them in like if we're there for like with 3-4 hours, usually within 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes we went out of those, some of those good giveaways.
I think we always try to be prepared, but the goal is to make sure that the kind neighbors and people that stop by and hear a little bit about ComEd, we have a giveaway for them, and we seem to always have enough. I'm sorry. What I can't read your writing.
You can't read. See, I'm trying to pass notes without the listeners know. Just saying, we're coming up on 20 minutes. Probably should take a break soon.
Well, yeah, but let me finish some of the introduction questions, and we're almost there. But I thought that some of the questions related to ComEd were important and how things are going, because that kind of sets the pace of what do we do at the events and what does the ComEd ambassador do. But let's just add one more thing to that in regards to Special Chronicles. And what's our mission, Daniel, at Special Chronicles? Because that relates a lot to the mission of ComEd EnergyForce program. So what's the mission of Special Chronicles?
So as you know, our mission that we started 14 years ago is really giving respect and a voice to those of us with special needs. When it comes down to it, that's the basic mission of what we do, giving respect and voice to people with special needs. We do that from an insider's perspective, as I said, and at the top of the program, myself having disabilities myself, so kind of sharing that mission from an insider's perspective, but going along with that mission, one of the top ways that we really bring our mission to you listeners, to the community, is through podcasting. I know 14 years ago, the probably wasn't that many of those with disabilities that were producing podcasts. So on that level, we've probably been at the ground level with that. But yeah, we're really using podcasting to help to, and I guess the best way to kind of sum up what our mission is we're really using podcasting to deliver our mission, which is giving respect and voice to people with special needs. So yeah, that I mean, I don't know if you want to add on.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You said it very well, Daniel. I mean, our main vision and mission is to give respect and voice to people with special needs. Mm-hmm. Now, we do it in many different ways. Podcasting is a real good way. Daniel's kind of developed a format how to do that many years ago. Was it 14 years ago?
14. Yeah, this November will be 14, yeah.
Podcasting was even, popular. And the one big advantage of podcasting is that you can get your message out. You can tell your story. You can share ideas with other people throughout, through a large audience very quickly, as opposed to, in person. Not that we don't, because we also do in-person events. We also public speaking will go out and speak at various events that we're invited to.
Schools, conferences.
Events, organizations. Special Olympics. Daniel gives a lot of speeches there, and like the schools and other organizations. That's been a little slow over the last couple of years with the coronavirus, but it's starting to pick up again, and that's just a wonderful thing too in person. But even I think the last speech we gave, I don't know, there were 100 people or something, and which is really great. We gave the message to 100 people. Which we want to keep doing. The in-person thing has another element that a podcast doesn't. But in podcast, we usually reach several thousand each month. So it's you reach a larger audience. Okay, well, let's. We are coming close to a breakdown. So I just want to restate again that we've been with ComEd ambassadors for 5 years now, right, Daniel?
Yeah, this is all.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful 5 years, and I think it's been good for ComEd. It's been good for Special Chronicles. It's been good for all the people that we get a chance to talk about this program, and hopefully help some people in the neighborhood save some energy and make their lives a little bit better. But let me close off with one question, and then we're going to go into a break. Daniel, after 5 years, how do you enjoy being a ComEd ambassador?
Well, I would say, as this is our fifth year, probably what I've enjoyed most is being at the forefront of using podcasting to educate our listeners, to educate the community about energy efficiency. Yes, I know we also go to in-person events, but probably the most is I found that a lot of our listeners and using this podcasting medium to get not only the mission of Special Chronicles and sharing these disability stories to the community, but also in sharing the ComEd EnergyForce mission, I guess, and sharing the energy efficiency tips. This over last month and this month of May, we have a 10-part series where we actually go a little bit more in depth in conversations with other ambassadors and ComEd staff. But even on the other episodes throughout the year, in some sponsor breaks, we at least educate our listeners a little bit about some of those energy efficiency tips. So I think that's probably what I found most enjoyable is letting the ComEd EnergyForce team kind of know about that this is a powerful platform to share about what the ComEd energy efficiency is all about.
Yeah, that's very well put, Daniel. I also noticed that when we're doing live events, you actually have fun doing this. You talk to the people. You tell them a little bit about saving some energy. You joke around a little bit. They smile. They seem to relate to you as well as the other ambassadors, and I think that's also a nice part, because hopefully it seems like we're making a difference in the community. All right, time to take a little break. What we have like 4 segments, and so we want to take a break in between each one. And this break, we want to just talk, share Special Chronicles, and maybe how you can help support us. Everybody's support is what makes Special Chronicles work,
and is how we're able to be behind the microphone, right?
Yeah, and it's just basically how everything works, and we need the support of all the kind listeners and sponsors and everybody else who wants to support us. So anyway, let's go to that break and talk about that. Then we're going to come back and talk about our something that's happening very much today, and that's the coronavirus and how it affects us. So go ahead, Daniel. Let's go to a break.
And we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to learn how you can become a Special Chronicles supporter so we can continue to produce this podcast. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And now, back to the show to continue the conversation today. And back to the show.
Are we on, Daniel?
Yes.
All right. Well, Daniel's running all the technology over here.
Yeah. So so listeners, he's kind of just to kind of let you guys inside the studio here. He's behind the mixer. He's behind the computer, so he doesn't see all the controls. He doesn't see the timer that we have of when we come out of the break. So I kind of have to point to him.
All right, a little lesson on running a studio. Anyway, let's go to our second segment, which we want to talk about coronavirus and how it affects us. When putting together this ComEd series for this year, we realized, I talked to the ComEd, to Sean at ComEd, we realized that everybody's lives has been affected because of this coronavirus, or at least one of the things that has affected everybody's lives this last year and going into this year. And that has affected how we do in-person events, or how we share the message of energy savings and all of that. So we thought, well, let's talk about that. Let's see how it affects each of the ambassadors and their organizations. So Daniel, let's start with, how does the COVID affected your life over the last year and going into this year?
Well, I would say it affected me in kind of a few different ways. One is, besides working at Special Chronicles, as you know, my other job is at United Airlines as services ambassador. So really being kind of out in front of people, and over the past 2 years, even, I mean, we're slowly coming out of COVID now, but even when COVID was pretty high and when a lot of places were shut down, I was still working out in front of the public. And so I had to kind of be extra careful and making sure I always, and I still now, even today, I still, I mean, I think I always made sure to wear a mask, or sometimes even a double mask at times if there's a lot of people around, but always making sure when I was in big crowds, or even at the airport, always making sure I wore a mask, used hand sanitizer when needed. But I think that's probably been a big part of how COVID has affected me. Just always just making sure that I was extra careful and extra safe when COVID was at a high level.
Oh, that is very well put. I think it's affected all of us in a very similar way. We're trying to be cautious, stay healthy and safe. Now, how does that what has the various organizations, ComEd, as well as Special Chronicles, done to try to mitigate that? I know ComEd has put in some rules that, what we can and can't do. Special Chronicles, of course, we weren't able to do live events and things like that. But why don't you elaborate a little bit about what the organizations, both ComEd and Special Chronicles, have done in the past? We'll talk about the future in the next question.
Yeah.
In the past, what has been done to try to pay attention and keep everybody safe?
Well, I think I'll get into what we've done at Special Chronicles in a moment, but I think one thing ComEd has done is really made sure that we didn't do a lot of in-person events. They really tried to kind of encourage all the ambassadors to do digital engagements. And now even this year we'll slowly kind of come in out of that, so we're slowly able to kind of get back to some in-person events, but they're really making people sign a release form. They're making sure all the ambassadors and the job coaches, like yourself sign a release and to making sure that everybody, if they all had an in-person event, they have to wear a mask at all times. And then at Special Chronicles, I think one of the things that we've done to kind of help making sure that people stay healthy, doing with all this COVID and coronavirus is back when the global pandemic and COVID started back in March of 2020, we started producing a kind of like a health mini series, which we actually produced that in partnership with Special Olympics, but and if people go on to specialchronicles.com trying to find it, specialchronicles.com health, you can listen to that mini series, and the first part of that we really talked about first what is the coronavirus, what is COVID, and then we talked about ways of how you can stay fit, how you can stay hydrated. We talked about healthy eating. We talked about how it affects young athletes, young kids. I think I might have missed one of those parts that we did, but and then we also produced a 3-part inclusive health series, along with the chief health officer at Special Olympics International, and myself and a few of the other Southern Tribal International Global Messengers from the U.S. Hannah, Winnie, and myself. We produced an inclusive health series where we talked about how during COVID we can all stay healthy. So again, if you all want to listen to that series, you can visit specialchronicles.com/health and hear about kind of some tips, and I think that's a big. I know I pulled from some listeners who have really benefit from it. I know some of those Special Olympic programs have even shared that series, and that I think that's a big part of what we have done at Special Chronicles is help to produce this health series to really when COVID has affected all of us. Yeah. So
that's good, Daniel. I think that those are some of the positive things that we're trying to do to deal with the coronavirus in the best way possible. I think also at Special Chronicles, one of our things has been we pay attention to any place that we've been asked to go to either speak or participate or whatever. If it's especially over the last couple of years, if the crowds are too large or too many people anticipated, we take a pass on it. We just don't necessarily want to be or not ready or don't feel 100% safe to be in large crowds. So let me ask one more question, and then we'll take another quick break. Mm-hmm. Because we have a couple more topics, and we try to keep these podcasts to an hour.
Yes.
Which is sometimes not easy to do.
No.
But anyway, just one question on this second part over here. Now that we're well into 2022, the coronavirus seems to be a little more under control. It's not gone completely, but there's a lot more people being vaccinated, and it seems to be a little safer out there, but not complete. So what are your thoughts on what's going to happen the rest of the year? Is the virus going to go away, or we don't have to worry about it at all? Or are we going to have to pay attention a little bit, or do you think it's going to get worse? What are your thoughts for the rest of this year?
For the rest of 2022, I think, I mean, COVID is still high in some places, or at least still coming back. And as most places now are lifting like the mask mandates, and kind of even at the airport and on the planes, it's kind of getting back to somewhat of a normal. But I think rest of 2022, we still have to be careful. We still, if we're in crowds with a lot of people, we should still wear a mask. We should still be careful, because COVID is still out there, and we still want to make sure to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that some of the real positive things is that I'm not sure what the percentage is, but I believe it's close to 70% of the people in Illinois are vaccinated, especially in northern Illinois, where the ComEd area is. So that's really good. And I think that's helping manage our the coronavirus, but that's still not everybody. So it's still here, and we still have to be careful. So I think we're all cautious. We're going to get through this. But the good part is I think we can do a few more things. We can do some events outdoors. We can do events in person, whether it's speaking or whatever. We can start doing some of that. We just need to be cautious. All right, time for another break. This is Nick, and then we're going to go into, we want to talk about a little bit about the economy, because that's also affected all of us, as well as some energy tips, which can maybe help us with the challenging economic times. So our next break, we're going to talk a little bit about, share our wonderful partnership with ComEd.
Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. The EnergyForce is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives, and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they are literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. One.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't pay attention to that.
Anyway, we truly want to thank the partnership of ComEd. I think they're just doing a wonderful job helping the disability community. So keep up the good work. It's an honor to be associated with ComEd.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the economy. Another part, the coronavirus has affected us, but so has the economy. If you look around right now, and I probably don't need to say this, everything, whether it's your gas or your food or your clothes or your entertainment or going even for a cup of coffee, everything has gone up. It's costing all of us more money. And the incomes, unfortunately, are not necessarily going up with inflation. And so individuals are struggling with that. Nonprofit organizations are also struggling with that because people have less money to donate. So we, by the way, Special Chronicles does appreciate everybody's donation. Thank you. Yep. And please keep it up the best that you can. So anyway, that's our economy today. So Daniel, why don't you tell us a little bit? I'm going to combine a few questions I had because we could spend a lot of time talking about this. But basically, how has the economy affected Special Chronicles, you as a person, and and what are we doing to deal with that?
So I think how the economy has affected me is, and even us at Special Chronicles, is we have to make sure to not to spend that much. Maybe in the past we might gone out to eat a lot, but making sure that we don't go out to eat that much, to also just to make sure that we maybe not go out on as many trips. We try to kind of stay around our town, stay around our kind of local community, make sure not to have to drive that much. I think a big part, and I do this when I go to work at United, is take the bus. And I think that taking public transportation, whether it's the bus or the train, that's one way that you can help to kind of save on money, because a lot of times if you have to drive everywhere, as you just said, the gas prices are going up. So to kind of help to not have to spend that much on gas, is you're able to take the bus, take the train. And that's a big part of kind of being in the Chicago area, and even in the suburbs, we're able to have access to good public transportation.
Yeah, I think that's those are all very good advices, and I think all of us, the ambassadors and the ambassadors companies and ComEd and everybody else, we have to pay attention, because we just need to be able to survive this, and we will. Now, with that, ComEd, of course, is doing some really good things to help heighten the cost of some of the things, especially in the energy cost in your home. Because I know I pay the bills for electrical use of the home, and it keeps going up.
And even in the studio,
and even during the winter months, we use gas for heat, but you still have electricity to start the furnaces and keep them working. But in general, electricity is costing us more money. So, Daniel, what is ComEd doing to help save some of those costs? And we'll just maybe spend a little bit of time on that, because our next break actually does talk about some of the energy efficiency parts. So we want to share that with you.
Yeah.
But Daniel, before we share that, why don't you lead into about what ComEd is doing?
I think one of the big things that ComEd is doing is letting people know about the right light bulb to use, to how to maybe wash your clothes in cold water, to make sure that your refrigerator is at the right temperature, and really kind of helping to have some of those tips on how to make sure to efficiently save energy.
Yeah, I think that's well put. Again, I am.
Should we get to some of those tips?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just add one more thing, dude. I know that I constantly look at ComEd's website to see what things that maybe we can do in our own home or in Special Chronicles business, and I'm constantly learning something and trying to figure out how to apply it. So, Daniel, let's go through our break, and maybe during that break, it actually talks about some of those things.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Lisa Noble, and I'm a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and an athlete with Special Olympics Illinois.
Hi, my name is Daniel Smrokowski, and I also am a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and founder of a company called Special Chronicles.
The ComEd EnergyForce Program is a program that hires people with disabilities to teach the public how to save energy and money.
It's the country's first energy efficiency program of its kind.
Saving energy is especially important while everyone is at home due to COVID-19. We're using more electricity than ever before. Just think about how many more times you are opening the refrigerator door these days.
And while the economy is stressed, it's more critical than ever to save money where we can. Following these tips can save energy and money in this time of COVID-19.
Wash your clothes in cold water and use the dryer sparingly.
Your dryer can take up to 7 times more energy than the washer.
Turn off and unplug any electrical devices or power strips you are not using.
Electrical devices can continue to zap power even when turned off if they're still plugged in. We call them vampire devices.
Use LED bulbs.
They use 25% less energy than incandescent bulbs and last up to 25 times longer, saving you lots of money over time.
Keep your refrigerator between 35 and 38 degrees.
And be sure to use Energy Star appliances.
And last but not least, check out ComEd.com/home savings for more tips and rebates.
Lisa and I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Remember, we are all in this together.
Stay healthy.
And stay safe.
Bye.
Daniel?
We're back.
We're back. Okay. Hopefully you got a few hints on maybe how better to save some energy in your home, because that could actually save you dollars, and every dollar we save makes a difference today. And ComEd has a lot of good advice. If you have more questions on that, just contact any of the ComEd ambassadors.
ComEd.com/EnergyForce.
EnergyForce Ambassador, list all the ambassadors if you know somebody, or contact Daniel or any of them. Anyway, let's go into, we're almost at our point.
Can we just briefly mention,
Sure.
if you guys want to listen to other conversations with other Energy Force ambassadors or staff, specialchronicles.com/EnergyForce is where we have this entire Energy Force series.
Yes, that actually leads me into, since we're almost at our time, we want to share some final thoughts. And just a couple of them. One of them is what Daniel just said, is that we're doing this ComEd's 10-part series this year. So please listen to those, because the various ambassadors each have their perspective on a lot of the same things, including saving energy. And it's definitely worthwhile listening to.
So once again, specialchronicles.com/EnergyForce. If you're watching the live stream, you see that on the screen. But if you just listen to us on audio, which I'm sure a lot of you might just be listening to us on audio, in the description, in the show notes below, that link will be there.
Okay, then let's go to final thoughts. I have basically 2 questions for you, Daniel. And the first one is more as ComEd has partnered with organizations like Special Chronicles and others with that somehow help people with disabilities in the community. So that partnership allows the people with disabilities in those organizations like Special Chronicles to become ComEd ambassadors and tell the story for ComEd on how you as a consumer in the neighborhood can save money and be and ComEd could be a good partner to them. Mm-hmm. So you want to have some final thoughts on how well that's worked, as well as what else can ComEd do, and of course a plug, because I'm sure if there are other organizations that help people with disabilities, they may want to become a part of ComEd.
Well,
I think, what are your final thoughts on that?
I think ComEd is doing a great job. I mean, there's probably always things that the ComEd EnergyForce program can do to improve. But I think one thing, and I think on the last episode with our friend Lisa, we had mentioned this, is taking part in the unified leadership training that Special Olympics has, where really if they can take part in that, they might learn some other ways to be more inclusive and really help to kind of lead in a little bit more inclusive. I mean, the Energy Force program is doing that a little bit, but I think if they take part in the unified leadership training that Special Olympics has, that could help to benefit the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like is that companies like ComEd get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's an awesome thing. And thank you very much for ComEd. And hopefully other companies that are listening, ComEd's a role model.
Yeah.
And we hopefully learned something.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, let's go to the final question.
And should we play that bumper?
Which bumper?
The bumper for the final question.
Oh, go ahead.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity. And the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
We're back.
Yes, let me. I'm going to ask your final question, Daniel, for you. But my quick lead into the question is that everything ComEd is doing to partner with people with disabilities and organizations that help people with disabilities all goes under the category of inclusion. We're trying to include everybody. ComEd does a wonderful job of that. Special Olympics does a wonderful job of that. Special Chronicles with its mission. Everything, no matter what we're doing, seems to fall under that one category, inclusion. We want to include everybody. Nobody should be left behind. So what is my final question is to you, Daniel, and I know you're involved in developing a lot of these things with all the organizations I just mentioned, but what does inclusion mean to you?
Well, great question. And that's, I usually end all these conversations with, and now it's great to kind of have the microphone toned on me. And what I think inclusion means to me is that everybody has the right to be accepted. Everybody has the right and the ability to make their dreams come true. Everybody has that fundamental right to be accepted and to feel that they are all a part of society. And that's what I feel inclusion means to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daniel, and I feel the same way. I love to be included, and you're not always, whether you have a disability or not. There are people that ignore you, that reject you, make fun of you. Even myself, who doesn't have the normal disabilities, but obviously I have my strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes people make fun of weaknesses or they perceive as weakness, and that saddens me because I think we all need to be included.
Yeah,
that's my final thought.
Okay, good. So
thank you for joining us in this episode 478 episode. It's part of the ComEd EnergyForce series for 2022, and again we had Daniel on this time because he is one of the ambassadors, so we want to hear his perspective. Hopefully it was beneficial to you. Thank you very much, and please support specialchronicles.com.
Yeah, and folks, just reminder, visit specialchronicles.com for links to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe and follow and rate and review this podcast, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and subscribe to our newsletter. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for our updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts. Subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people